Constant low-level disruptive behaviour is one of the biggest causes of teacher stress, one of the reasons why we're losing thousands of teachers per year. It's not violence, it's not extreme behaviour, it's the constant talking, calling out, drifting off task, side conversations, and it's exhausting. So in this video, I'm going to give you a clear step-by-step approach to reduce low-level behaviour in your classroom. And it's something that you can use tomorrow. If you're new to the channel, I'm Ben. I've worked in education for over 15 years, and for the last decade, I've supported teachers and school leaders to implement the best evidence-based practices that create calm, safe, predictable, learning-focused classrooms. From lower socioeconomic schools in England to national education work here in Australia. And my goal with this video is simple. No matter your experience level, you leave with something practical that strengthens your practice immediately. So to make this practical, we're going to have to focus on two students. Student A, compliant, quiet, but disengaged. They look like they're working, but they're not really learning. Now student B, social, enjoys school, but constantly talking out, distracting others. These are two very different students, but we've got the same goal. We want to bring the focus back to learning. Now, before anything else, the foundation of behavioural response is built on trust. And this is a relationship that's built over time through consistency, politeness, respect, in daily micro interactions. If you'd like a full video on building trust, just comment the word trust below. But for now, we're going to assume that trust is already there with both students. So let's get into it. The most powerful behaviour strategy is prevention. You must monitor constantly. Students should feel like you have eyes in the back of your head. If you're standing still at the front, or even worse, if you're sitting at your desk, you're increasing the likelihood of disengagement to occur. Look at student A. You set the task, you stay at the front, they appear to work, but they're not. Now student B, if you're not pausing, scanning, circulating, they're talking, they're distracting, and their learning time disappears. As Tom Bennett says, what you permit, you promote. If we allow drift, we promote drift. So here's what you can do instead. You can pause, you can scan, acknowledge students first, the ones that are meeting the expectations. Thank you to those waiting. Great focus back table. I can hear great conversations on the back row. Well done. This reinforces expectations without confrontation. Then circulate, intentionally. That's what you do when you spot student A drifting. Student B distracting. I've made a full video on effective circulation, so if you want to take a look at this, I'll drop it in the description below. If we notice any student not meeting the behavioural expectations, as Doug Lemov put it, we want to use the least invasive intervention first. So step 2, the least invasive correction. When behaviour slips, it's important that we stay calm. Always use the least invasive intervention first. And that starts with a non-verbal correction. The look, a pause, a gesture, proximity. No lesson momentum is lost. The corrections are subtle, they preserve dignity, they maintain the pace of the lesson, and often they're enough. But what happens if not? Well, we move to a verbal correction. We use an anonymous correction, a group correction, individual, or a private correction. So how would this work for both students? For student A, a quiet private correction may work best. But for student B, we'd use a non-verbal correction first, and then possibly a group reminder. Both give the students the chance to re-meet the expectations. But what if they don't? Well then, step 3, we check in before we offer the student a choice. And this is a step that is often missed. So before giving a choice, check in with the student. Do they understand the expectation? Are they stuck with the work? Is there a distraction? It's important that you clarify the expectations, support the students to meet them, remove any barriers, because sometimes behaviour is confusion in disguise. But if they fully understand and choose not to meet the expectations, well now we offer a choice. So step 4, the choice, a clear choice. Meet the expectation or receive a consequence. It's delivered in a calm, neutral, certain manner. So back to our students. Student A, it's complete the task now or finish it at break. For student B, it's work quietly here or you're going to have to move seats. Then we step away. We give the student space and time to make a choice. And if they choose well, we finish with politeness and we thank them. This reinforces their positive decision. But what if they choose not to make a positive choice? Well, step 5, we have to follow through. If they don't choose positively, we have to implement the consequence. We do that calmly, without confrontation. Low-level behaviour equals a low-level consequence. So examples of this: a moving seat, removing an object causing distraction, making up for lost learning time. We are not humiliating the student, and we are not removing them from the class unless safety is at risk. Consistency builds trust. Empty threats destroy it. And that's the full sequence. We look to prevent, monitor, correct non-verbally, escalate calmly, we check in, offer a choice, and then follow through. This is planned, scripted, and rehearsed, because when your response is predictable, your classroom becomes stable. If this was helpful, comment below which step you are going to focus on first. Like and subscribe for classroom management strategies that actually work, and I'll see you in the next one.